Now, in the wake of ANC succession talks, ANC member Mdumiseni Ntuli has told the Sunday Times that if the ANC performs poorly in the upcoming local government elections, the party should look beyond its National Executive Committee for its next president. And this comes just as the organization wrapped up its National General Council in Ekurhuleni last week. And one person who has been following these developments very closely is my colleague I Samkele Maseko, who joins us live now for more. Sam, good evening to you and thank you so much for your time. So, reading that article, it's quite scathing, and I wonder how much of an indictment is it on the current crop of leaders within the ANC, some of whom may have presidential ambitions?
Going to be rather interesting, Bongi. We're particularly noting that a number of NEC members are harboring ANC presidential ambitions. Their names have been touted about, such as Dr. Hosienso Oramogopa, who is the Minister of Electricity within the country. You've got the likes of Paul Mashatile, the likes of Fikile Mbalula, and many others. Togo Didiza as well, who's the latest entrant of those whose names being touted supposedly by the ANC Women's League for the position of President of the African National Congress. But historically, if you were to look at the ANC, in its ANC's epoch, at some point there was a Z.R. Mahabane who was brought from outside of the leadership of the African National Congress to lead the ANC after the ANC was going through a tumultuous time during the apartheid era, and particularly fighting against and resistance of apartheid domination and rule, and fighting for the land of the people. So the ANC once again finds itself where its own leaders are not appetizing to the electorate within the country, as the ANC, brand ANC, has been battered over years. Just read now, the president of the ANC was addressing the ANC Youth League, calling on the Youth League to be that battalion like the ANC Women's League during elections that goes out full force and campaigns to South Africans. But ANC, brand ANC, is seriously battered, and the current leaders of the African National Congress, when it comes to brand reputation, are through nefarious, wrong things when it comes to governance and money of the state.
So how difficult then will it, be, for members of the ANC at branch level to carry out this audit ward-based, assessment by as tasked by the ANC to say that, look at these challenges, make them a priority, and then make sure that they are dealt with? So, if the brand is where you say it is, how easy or difficult will it be for them to do this?
It's going to be very difficult for them to come out of the woods that they're currently in, particularly noting the service delivery challenges that are there within the country. As I speak right now, I'm at home. For the past 2 days, I've not had water due to maintenance issues that are being branded about by the city of Joburg. If I've not had water for 2 days, how can you imagine someone who's in far flung Limpopo, Eastern Cape, Northwest, particularly within the Rustenburg mining belt within the country, who's not had water for years and who's been struggling? You go to a municipality like Disobotle that has ultimately failed in every aspect of municipal governance, where roads, infrastructure, water provision is not properly done. How is that particularly going to affect that ordinary person sitting in Disobotle? Will they have the necessary appetite to vote for the African National Congress or not, or others that have been waiting in the waiting list for over 25 years to get an RDP house, despite it being an initiative of government where many South Africans have been alleviated from poverty with that social relief through the RDP houses that government rolls out. So it is a myriad of issues that the ANC is facing towards election, amongst a depleted intellectual and ideological base of its members. It won't be easy to sway South Africans, noting that the ANC has also lost the middle class strata, the middle class bulge that it so built in the years of economic growth under the regime of former President Mbeki. That particular middle-class budge in suburban areas like your eThekwini, like your Johannesburg, your Ekurhuleni, your city of Tshwane, they have depleted from the African National Congress. Mangaung, Nelson Mandela Bay, Buffalo City, those 8 metros of the country where you find that particular middle class moving away from the African National Congress. So in recent times, we've also seen it in Msunduzi local municipality, which is an urban area within the Umgungundlovu district, which is also now as well seemingly shunning the African National Congress, going to your EFF, going to your Umkhonto Wesizwe, going to your Democratic Alliance, going to your Action SAs, which is so recently in Ekurhuleni in a by-election that was held, where the ANC won by 1,480 votes, followed by Action SA at just over 1,000, showing strong inroads within your township areas, where you still find that lower level middle strata of the middle class also now moving away from the African National Congress within the townships.
And Sam, this is an organization, right, that when you speak to the veterans, for example, they tell you about this foundation course that they say it's going to be great, it will help them. Then in light of all of that, you still then have this, you know, the head of elections saying this ahead of the crucial local government elections. No doubt it will have some serious repercussions, and one wonders, how has this been received from what you're hearing within the ANC?
Well, Bongiwe, it's not only Mdumiseni Ntuli, the ANC chief whip, was saying these things. Was also an ANC and NWC member who was at some point hopeful to be Secretary General and lost out against Fikile Mbalula. It's many other ANC leaders within the National Executive Committee, within the Provincial Executive Committee, within the RECs, within the broader mass democratic movement, whether you are speaking the Labour Federation, you are speaking the Communists, or you are speaking the Youth League or the Women's League and the Veterans League, many others are saying the ANC is perhaps at that ZR Mahabane moment where it has to look outside of its formal structures at this point in time for someone who's got the lineage and the lexicon of the Congress movement, who can be brought in, who's been in the structures of the ANC before, brought in order to lead the ANC going forward because of the moment of where it finds itself in. It's happened in history where ZR Mahabane was brought from outside to come and lead the ANC at a particular point in time. Whether it will find expression now or not is something that is going to be rather interesting, because historically the ANC has always had a third way. When I say a third way, if there are two contenders, a third way out of nowhere was able to emerge and become a leader of the African National Congress in any other position. For instance, if you go to the history of the ANC in the 1991 Durban-Westville Conference, it was a war of deputy presidency between Chris Hani and Thabo Mbeki. The elders of the ANC had to go and ask them to step aside from that particular battle and let others contest within that particular conference. And a position was then created for Walter Sisulu to become the national chairperson of the African National Congress at that particular conference in time. And that just tells you of the various epochs where a third way was able to emerge within the African National Congress. Can a third way emerge this time around going to this particular national conference, which I am supposedly thinking this is that ZR Mahabane moment where they bring in a third way in order to avoid an electoral rupture of the African National Congress from the electorate.
And it's going to be an interesting time to see if this third way does come in, and also if, as you alluded to earlier on, the ANC Youth League is actually able to do what the ANC president had to say rally young people behind the organization. So quite a test in the time when you look at this particular organization. Thank you so much for your time, Sam. Appreciate it. That's our colleague there, I Samkele Maseko, joining us for some analysis around the ANC developments.